Okay, so let me talk to you guys, for those of you who have not played Pendragon, just about the very basics of the game. So, a couple of really simple things to know. If you open up your character sheets, you'll see you've got stats, you've got hit points, you've got movement, you've got glory, you've got damage, you've got armor. Um, Let me just take you through those. So, stats tend to tap out at 18. Technically, if you've got a cultural bonus, you can get to 21 in a particular stat. They inform a bunch of calculated statistics. You do roll against stats as well, and I'll explain rolling in a second. Couple of key things to pay attention to on the main character sheet on the first page, the combat page, the combat tab, whatever. First of these is that you have these values called knockdown, major wound, and unconscious. If your hit points, if you take 14 points of damage or more in a single hit before armor is applied, you must make a roll to resist being knocked down. Being knocked down as a knight is, as will come to no surprise to many of you, not fantastic. Although this is still a game where people recognise that knights got up all the time so you're not a turtle. But obviously while you're lying on your back, someone can stab you and do you much injury. Major wound actually can, really impede you, affect you, slow you down, maybe even kill you. That value is if you take 12 hit points or more, in the case of Sir Clarion, who I'm looking at, after armour. So really big difference between knockdown and major wounds is one is applied after armour, one is applied prior to armour. And then there's an unconscious value. If your hit points fall below that number, you are unconscious. So your total hit points, unlike D&D, for instance, where you hit 0 and then you fall unconscious or start dying, whatever the right language is, depending on the game and version. In this game, you fall unconscious if you take, in the case of Sir Clarion, who has 26 hit points in total, if he's taken 19 hit points or more, he collapses into a heap on the ground. Some other things to pay attention to is you have the concepts of movement, which is the number of feet I think you move. I can't remember really, and it almost doesn't matter. You're mostly going to be running around on horses anyway. It's not like you want to be walking. Damage is your base damage stat in D6s. So most weapons will do your base damage stat. So if you're a big buffy human, you'll do 5 dice. If you're a reasonably medium-sized human, you'll do 4 dice. And if you're a particularly small human, you'll do 3. Most of you are in the 4 dice domain. Sir Clarion is 5, and I think Dame Gwynhild is also 5, because they're big. Gwynhild in particular, as a Saxon, gets a bonus to their size, if I remember correctly, which makes them very big. And then you've got your weapons underneath. Oh, so you really understand how deadly this game is. That healing rate works like Chaosium's healing rate. That's per week. Okay, so getting really badly injured really screws you up. You can get an immediate little bit of healing from first aid successes. That can be quite good. But once you're past that point, you're into very slow terrain. And there are magical potions that heal you, but they are not common. Now, then you've got weapons. Woohoo, weapons. All knights have a sword. You all have a sword. Sword is the uber weapon of Pendragon. Because, A, you're a knight, so you should be good at it. B, if you ever draw with someone else's weapon, that weapon breaks. So if you and your opponent are fighting and your opponent's got an axe and you've got a sword and you both roll a 12, the axe breaks, the sword keeps on going. Swords are kind of cool. The next and far more deadly weapon is the lance. Lances are, as a general statement, are only used as lances when you are on a horse charging someone, hence the use of the charge skill. They do the damage of the horse you are riding, not you, which is why they are so very, very deadly. In addition to that, if you are charging someone, and we'll talk about this in more detail later when you start playing, but if you're charging someone from a horse, you get a bonus for the length of your lance, and you get a bonus for the fact that you're on a horse. So you will add a plus 10 modifier to your skill just by wielding a lance, unless, of course, you're charging someone else who's on a horse also carrying a lance, in which case all bets are off and you nullify each other. But bandits, peasants, commoners, people like that, it's deadly. And if you're ever fighting anything particularly large and you decide you want to fight it, if you're not starting with a lance charge, you've done it wrong. Is the fundamental message. You have genuinely done it wrong, because it dishes out so much damage. Then you've got a bunch of other special weapons that all have different effects. Maces are particularly good at damaging people who are wearing chainmail because it's an impact weapon. Spears nullify the sorts of advantages I was just talking about. They are long, and so they can negate people who've got height advantage or length advantage. And you can also often throw them, which is probably the only ranged weapon any of you are carrying is a spear. Okay, if you go to the second tab, you've got what are called traits. Traits are awesome. They are the power game of Pendragon. Pendragon is a game that revolves around two fundamental types of characteristics, traits and passions. Traits are the things that define your personality. If you are chaste, you will have a higher than 10-point value in chaste, and you will have a correspondingly lower value in lustful. So the traits should be read as paired sets, and when one goes up, the pair goes down, so they're opposites. A number of you have different faiths, so if you're pagan, Christian, Wotanic, you have different baseline traits, as in the values. So for instance, a pagan, it is spiritual to be lustful as a pagan. So your lustful will be higher. If you're a Christian, it's spiritual to be chaste. So your chaste will be higher. So that differential will exist in the game. If you are a pagan, Wotanic, I think you get a worldly, no, proud, but so do pagans. So you get stats, and what you're looking to do here is partially lean into the things you think will personify your character, but also they're used in a whole stack of ways in the game to define your resistance to things, your resistance to temptation, or your acceptance of temptation. You have a heavy night, and then your next morning you need to get up and charge off into the darkness to fight the monsters or to progress your career, your quest. You roll an energetic roll to see how well you do that, so forth and so on. Traits and skills and passions at 16 or above are specially noteworthy. A 16 means in many cases you don't have to roll. You can just say, I'm going to be just because I'm the just knight. If you have a value of 16 in a trait or passion, you are known for that thing. So people know that you are Sir Clarion the Just or Sir Clarion the Valorous or whatever it might be.
And I'm both those things.
That's
I'm
right.
known for being vengeful.
Yes, yes, you are.
I feel like I'm playing Reginald again because my lustfulness is 16. So
my brain is indeed a lustful knight. But he's also actually in love with the Lady of the White Tower, if I remember it correctly. Which will lead us to the next tab, passions. Okay, so the passions are kind of divided into groupings, which we don't have to spend a lot of time worrying about. It's all a bit complicated. The main things are, many of you will have a devotion or love of God or love of gods or specific love of a specific pagan deity. Many of you will have hospitality and station as traits or passions. Some of you will have a love of family. Some of you will have fealty to a particular lord or knight or king or space. And you also will all have an honor passion. A few of you have hate as a passion. Hate is awesome. You get to roll against it when you want to stab people who are that person. Hate is terrible when you meet people of that nature and you don't want to stab them. That can be very much harder, because you will roll against your hatred when you go, no, I'm just going to treat them like everyone else. I will be forgiving. Well, will you? Let us roll your hate and see whether you can hold in how much you hate that person. You can't.
You can't. Yeah, the pics did something dreadful to me.
Yes,
or my
you're
family.
not a fan. You're not a fan.
Mm.
You should read your, I think I dumped everyone. Yes. Everyone's bio is in their bio. Jess, I strongly suggest you read yours. At a point. Okay, and then we have skills. Hooray! Which are the things you're skilled at. You all have pretty much the same skills. It's a standard set. You're better or worse at them. They go from a value of 1 to 20 or 0 to 20 in the case of certain skills that knights just don't start knowing. So, for instance, most knights cannot read.
Yep.
I believe one of you can, maybe even two of you, because of your background. I think the Roman can read a little bit, and I think Dame Linnell might be able to read, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I can as well. Yep.
Because she's actually literate. That's actually her family characteristic. What you will notice as beginning knights is you don't have very high skill stats. You will have 5s, 6s, 7s, maybe a 10, maybe an 11, maybe even a 13 on a big day in your non-combat skills. Do not worry. Just roll it anyway. And then you will have your combat skills, which are the grey blocks, which have battle, bow, brawling, crossbow, half-dead, horsemanship, so forth and so on. Key skills to pay attention to are obviously swords, your sword skill, your charge skill, your horsemanship skill, and any special weapon skills you have. You will also have battle as a skill. Battle is literally the arrangement of troops. So you roll battle when you're going into a combat where you know that you're going into combat and you want to be particularly crafty or intelligent or smart about how you arrange the battle. So that's how you use that skill. I've also decided that I'm going to rule that if you're playing either Tafnaffle or chess, which is brand new in England, you will be rolling battle, not gaming. And if you don't know what Tafnaffle is, ask me later. I'll tell you because I own a copy, and it's quite a fun game. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Then you've got equipment, which is just your equipment, most of which is just noise. Because you're knights and you've got squires, so it's mostly just assume that stuff happens, people turn up, they do things, you move on. You've also all got squires. I run squires as the vaguely magical beings that they should be. So there's a squire skill. When you need squires to do things, you make a squire skill roll, and squires will magically appear and make that thing go away, as long as it is within the remit of squires. So, squire, I need a lance. While in the middle of a combat, there will be a squire standing next to you, handing you a lance. Jay might remember this speech because I gave it last year at Chaosium Con. I had a whole stack of commentary about how magical squires can be. So they save you, do things that are amazing. And then there's events and houses, and there's the bio. So events are things that happen to you going forward in time. The house is a description of the house that you come from, like your family, who's who. None of that is filled in for these character sheets. Bios has a short description of what your backstory is. As I've already stated, I think Dame Linnell in particular needs to read their backstory. And then that's pretty much it. Just one thing I didn't touch on, which I should have right at the beginning. When I was talking about the stats at the top and I mentioned damage, I didn't talk about armor. So I will just do that for 1 second. So you have two values. Almost all of you, except maybe Dame Quinild, have two values next to their armor.
I've got two.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
When you're not wielding the two-handed axe.
Exactly.
The first value is the armor of all of the kit you're wearing on your body. So your helmet, your hauberk, your gambeson, all of that goodness. The second value is the additional protection your shield offers you when you get a successful roll, which is the perfect segue into, so Thomas, how does dice rolling work in Pendragon? I'm glad you asked.
Yes.
Okay, it's a D20 system. You roll a single D20 against your skill. The trick of Pendragon is you want to roll as high as you can, as long as you are under or equal to the skill you have. So, Exhibit A, if you have a skill of 5 in something, you want to roll a 5 or lower, and preferably as close to 5 as possible. If you have a skill of 20, you want to roll a 20. If you fail a roll, which is you roll above your skill level, it's a simple failure in most circumstances. which means you failed to land the blow, you failed to be successful. In combat, a failure would mean, so if you were crossing swords with someone, you rolled your sword skill and you rolled above your sword skill, you not only don't land the blow, you don't get the shield. So that's where that manifests quite nastily. If you roll a 20 and you don't have a skill of 20, which you can have, that's a critical fumble, and generally speaking, very bad things happen. If you roll exactly your skill, so if you have a skill of 5 and you roll a 5, that is a critical success, and generally really good things happen. So that's how dice rolling works at its most basic. When you're opposing someone, i.e. in a combat or in a competition of some form, or you're trying to persuade a lord that you're actually a good person and for whatever reason they're deeply suspicious of you, you and they roll, and the person who got the highest value wins. So if they have a skill of 15 and roll a 2, and you have a skill of 5 and roll a 4, you are the victor. If one of you rolls a critical success, you are always the victor. If both of you roll critical successes, it gets quite messy, particularly if you're in combat, because you both land blows and it can, two knights stab each other in the side and fall over. So that can happen too. That's pretty much it. Oh, and then inspiring. Sorry.
I was going to say inspiring and things.
Yeah. So why do passions matter so very much? Passions matter because they are the superpower component of your knightliness. And what you can do is roll against a passion once per day. You can call upon that passion for a single task or action. So, Exhibit A. In previous lives, Rob had a knight who had a hatred of Saxons that was truly epic. And he did work very hard to get it to 20 so he could just inspire against it whenever he fought Saxons. It also made him terrible at negotiating with Saxons, but that's a different problem. So whenever he fought against Saxons, he would go, I'm going to inspire against my hatred of Saxons. That would give him a +5 to his skill. Note, I did not say dice roll. This is an important statement. You're adding +5 to your skill. If you have a skill that with the +5 equals or exceeds 20, you start to add points to the dice. So if you have, through dint of inspiring, and by the way, if you critically succeed, you add +10. So if you critically succeed on your passion roll, you add +10. So looking once again at Sir Clarion, who I have in front of me, they have a sword skill of 15. If they were to go, this is, the honour of my lord has been impunged, Leodegrance king and stalwart supporter of Arthur has been besmirched by this statement, I'm rolling against my love of Leodegrance or my fealty to Leodegrance. I've criticaled, I've rolled exactly what I have in passion. I'm going to add +10 to my sword skill. Your sword skill is now 25. If you have a sword skill of greater than 20, or indeed any skill that is greater than 20, you add the amount that you exceed 20 to your dice roll. So you start critically on a 15 in that scenario because you're adding +5. So you go, I roll the dice, I rolled 16, I add 5 to it, that's 21, I criticaled. So that's how inspiring works at its most basic. I think that's enough for now. I think that's described the basics of the game, and my preference would be that we roll on and play so that we can actually test out it.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. No message back from Lily, so I'm gonna just assume that their loss of connectivity is pretty fundamental. Okay. All right. So I need actually my module up. Hold on. I've been writing it, so I need to pull up the Word document where I have the actual module so that I can kick it off in good ways. See Microsoft and the Word. Just before while I'm scrolling, any questions about any of that?
No, I think it's all coming back to me now. That fateful, 2, 3 hours we spent like last year. Oh no, this year still. God, I'm thinking we're in 2025 already. It kind of becomes pretty intuitive after there's like a few rolls. So, yeah, looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be great. I love that I'm playing someone who's just the spitting image of a knight.
You
Um,
are. Sir Clarion is the Knightly Knight, as I refer to him.
Absolutely. 16 on chivalrous and 16 on just. So
Oh,
my word is law.
Yeah.
Okay. I just
Family
realised
characteristic. Seductive.
Mm.
I actually need to download Word because I rebuilt my computer on the weekend and I had forgotten that I did not actually already.
Oh no.
It's been embarrassing. All right, so I know how the module starts, so that's fine. I can handle this. All right, so you are Knights of Arthur. It is the year 512. Arthur drew the sword in 510, and sorry, 510. Yeah, yep, that's right. Yep, 510. And you were there. You saw the sword drawn from said stone. Um, at that time, King Lot, from the north, who was a Pict, by the way, just mentioning that so that it's referenced. Spit, exactly. Was, um, you know, did dispute Arthur's claim to the throne, and there was much affray. King Leodegrance, London, the Mayor of London, and a number of other major lords and nobles threw in with Arthur at that point. There was a small but somewhat significant battle which Arthur, through dint of arms, was victorious. At this point in the historical record, Arthur has been therefore king for give or take about a year and a half, and is now solidifying his claim to the south and the east of England. Um, the rest of you have been working diligently for your various lords in protecting Arthur's, remit, and of course doing all of the right things. However, you are operating, and I do have a map, so I can close all of that up. You're down here at Sarum, which is near Camelot. Camelot is not yet sort of center of the world. You're down here at Sarum, which is the headquarters of the local Salisbury Lord. I think is Duke Robert, and you have been resting. You receive summons though from Arthur's brother and seneschal Sir Kay, a squire, as I have described previously, a magical being who may or may not be human, rocks up at your doorstep and doth say to you, "Hello, good knights, one and all. The Lord Sir Kay, Seneschal to Arthur, requests your presence in the castle so that they might brief you on a mission of criticality, which your lords have suggested you are suited to pursue on his behalf." Um, I will go out on a limb and suggest that all of you, as you should, turn up and go fist to the side of the head. So,
Yep.
You are approaching Sarum, the castle, Salisbury Castle. As you enter this great hall, can I ask, starting with Jay, because Jay's the first one on my list, just looking at you, Jay, Sir Clarion, what do you like, Sir Clarion? You stride into this hall. How do you stride in?
I, of course, think that I stride with a very long footfall. I am, of course, gleaming in my armor. I have a very long and flowing cape. It is, of course, uh, un unbannered. There's no actual crest or emblem on there, because I am on a hunt to understand which lord I might pick up my sword for under the auspices of King Arthur and uh, and in my notes it says King Leodragant. Is that wrong?
Leodegrance.
Yeah. Is
No,
that
no. So
wrong?
your lord is King Leodegrance.
Oh, okay. Right.
No, no. But he is sworn to support Arthur. So Arthur is the High King. Your
hmm
king is Leodegrance.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because it said wandering the land, searching for a worthy lord to pledge trust and my sword. So I
Oh,
I
because you're
found
a
that.
mercenary knight.
Yes.
So you're currently in the employ of Leodegrance, but
Okay.
to that point, you're always looking to become a household knight, which is where the real money's at, and more
Yeah.
importantly, I could be that guy for you. Um,
Okay.
and yes, uh, you will need to find the right person for the job.
Excellent. Well, my statement stands. I am not a household knight. I am carrying no crest, no banner. But I am valorous and I am just, and I have been the talk of these parts. People whisper, words of my doing. And I am, of course, the sword that shall prevail. In whatever battle, whatever errand, whatever knightly quest for valor and glory that I find myself falling into. But of course, I always have the upper hand because I have the side of justice on my side. So I stride in. I'm of course ready to meet Sir Kay, ready to find out more about this wonderful adventure of daring do that we're about to find ourselves in.
All right. So that is Sir Clarion. Dame Linnell, you're following in close behind Sir Clarion. Describe Dame Linnell. How does she walk into the space?
Um, she's got the She's trying very hard to appear confident, but anyone looking closely can tell that there's something missing. It's just a surface. She's looking around everywhere, but she never makes eye contact with anyone. She's dressed in her surcoat, which is gold and silver, half and half. Um, she's a crest of an eagle on her back. Those are her household heraldry. Um, but yeah, she doesn't have a lord that she is working for. Um, I assume she's just been employed temporarily as a mercenary,
Yep.
along with everybody else. Yeah. So she's kind of coming in, trying to stand to her full height, but just there's a bit of nervousness there.
Okay. All right. Next, can I ask Dame Quinhild?
Um, Dame Quinhild is, well, easily a head taller than everybody else in the group. So she kind of stands out as being a very tall, um, very upright, solid woman who is holds her head up high. She's proud of what she is and what she does. And there's not much that actually rattles her. So she's pretty strident in coming in. She, of course, has her heraldry of the raven. Um, was it the a raven regardant sable, which from what I remember is kind of standing upright, but it's kind of looking backwards over its shoulder.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
on a red background. Sable? No, hold on.
yeah.
Yep. Actually, if you drag your characters onto the screen, you'll see your shields because I made them um, your avatars. You,
Oh, okay. Hang on.
so if you want to see what you actually look like, you can just drop yourself on the screen and you'll see your little shield pop up. Tokens, your tokens. Alrighty.
Yes, so that's me.
Right, and then for now at least, Sir of Rain.
Uh, Surain is you know, of moderate, moderate build. He's very handsome. He looks quite robust, but very handsome. He sort of strides in. He's not as he notices that. So Clarion is obviously uh, the boastful one. Then you have balanced out by Dame Linnell, who's a little bit uncertain, and then the very proud Dame Gwenheld. He's quite energetic, so he moves fairly quickly, and he's always looking around. You may notice that if there are any ladies of the house, he does his eyes do pause upon them momentarily, and there might be a small smile that crosses his face. But he is quite calm, and what's the word I'm looking for? And what's the word? Not regal, but mindful. He's looking at other people, and he waits for people. He's not sort of at the center of it. He's more content to sort of wander in, sit sort of towards the back of the group, and see what everyone else is doing and what's happening around, but quite watchful.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so you walk into the thing. Now a servant races up to you and my knights, my good knights and dames, my good knights and dames. But can I help you? Are you here to see someone specifically?
Yes, we are here, of course, knights and dames all, to see Sir Kay, who his squire sent a missive that we should come along to his special place, his wonderful castle, to learn more about such mission. So, please, would you show us the way, good sir?
Of course, sir. Um, and I just follow me. Um, uh, Takes you down the back of this giant hall and off through a side door. You're shown down a long corridor into a very small room. The room has a table at it. There is a map spread across it. There are sort of rolled up scrolls in sort of hexagonal storage behind it, and they're standing on the table. Oh, there's also not that it matters very much to you, but there's also a monk desperately scribbling away in the corner. Standing behind the desk is, of course, Sir Kay, who you all recognise. He's reasonably famous as the brother of Arthur. He's a big, buffy sort of guy, possibly even going slightly to fat. However, he is an important noble, as Arthur's foster brother. He looks at you all. Ah, excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, here's a question for all of you. Can you look at your character sheets? Have a
Yes.
look at your glory, please. And if you are a household knight, tell me what your glory is.
2040.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure Sir of Rain is a household knight, or am I wrong?
Sorry, he's a household knight. I'm a mercenary knight, but my
Oh,
glory is 2075.
I know, it's only household knights. Right.
Okay.
Okay. So here's where Pendragon is highly, highly feudal. So he looks at all of you. And if we had Sir Avalok, this would be a slightly different conversation, but we do not for this bit, so we will go with it. Looks at all of you and goes, Dane Gwenheld! Excellent to see you. and I see
Right.
and some mercenary knights and sort of waves. Excellent, excellent. Look, I have asked all four of you and all five of you here today, as I have a desperate mission that I need knights for, and your lords have indicated you are competent and skilled knights of diverse characteristics and traits, which I think will be necessary for this very vital mission. As you may or may not be aware, the Northern Kings are gathering their forces to bring down our High King through diverse battles and also treachery. Arthur is desperate for allies, and I know where there are some, and I ask you, knights, to go forth on Arthur's command and seek out these great noble knights, that we might bring them together in harmony to protect Arthur against these foul northern scum, these spits. At that point, looks at all of you, goes, yes, and I'm sure you'll understand, but they're also Picts.
But the household of pigs, are they?
Yeah, they're Pictish scum.
I see.
Arthur is desperate for allies and also to shore up the support of many a noble who is already sworn to Arthur, but perhaps, in these times may be wavering in their commitment to Arthur. Not that I would think of such things, of course, he says with a glaring eye at all of you. Now,
I look fiercer.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So knights, one and all, I need you to travel forth and hopefully bring down some great knights to serve in Arthur's cause. Tell me, knights, can I trust you to commit to this mission on Arthur's behalf?
Absolutely.
Yes, of course, my lord. I would do anything to stand for Arthur and against those Pictish scum.
Excellent, excellent. And looks at you, Everaine and Clarion. I have not heard your voices, good knights. Are you sworn to Arthur's service, or are you simply mercenaries?
No, indeed. I am sworn to Arthur's service. Huzzah.
I was, of course, waiting for others of different and higher station to make their points before coming in now in the moment of greatest need to say, aye, and indeed, we shall. This is a cause for great unity amongst the entirety of Britain. And I am incredibly indebted to be able to serve for the glory of King Arthur. Huzzah.
Excellent. Well, look, I'm pleased to hear it.
I didn't know whether I could do this sort of character, but I am, so it's good.
Roll with it, Jay. Roll with it. Roll with it.
Doesn't look like that much of a stretch, mate. But
It makes me cringe internally. I hate being lawful. Let's do it though.
That's right. Okay, don't forget you can always twist his passions and turn them to
That's
darkness.
right.
Oh yeah,
You
absolutely.
can lean certain ways.
Yeah, you can
That's
be.
true.
Yeah, I can already hear pride in your voice, Sir Clarion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see you've brought your squire there with you.
Well, it could be Toby Rampant.
A fearsome
Or
creature.
does Dame Gwynhild have hunting dogs?
Of course.
Of course. And why are they small, white, and fluffy? Or small, black, and fluffy, whatever the case may be. Excellent, excellent. Well, this is good news. Tell me, good knights, have you heard the name Balin le Savage, or indeed Balin le Savage, the famed twin brothers of the Forest Savage?
I do not know this name, my lord.
Not that I'm aware of.
You may all make a recognise roll at
I
this point.
recognize.
All of us?
Yes. All of you may make a
Okay,
recognise roll.
Yeah,
Phil?
let's do it. No, let's not do it. No, it's not within the bounds of where I live.
Oof. No. Oh, someone got it. Dame Linnell, you recognise.
No. What? Oh,
Yeah, you
maybe
got a
something.
success.
Oh, that was me. Okay, I thought it was the. No, I'm the blue dice. That's right. Okay, sorry. I was looking at the yellow die. Going.
Look at the chat window. Look at the chat window.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Okay.
Two of them.
Two of them.
Recognise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dame Linnell and Sir Ibrahim, you both recognise the name, and for completely different reasons. Dame Linnell, Sir Balin is a famed knight, son of a previous famous servant of Uther, who died at the betrayal, where the Saxons killed a whole bunch of Uther's servants, and is famed for their skill with swords. Like, so Balin is a genuinely pretty damn famous swordsman. Ibrahim. Balin is also famous for being not a big fan of pagans. So you remember Balin because he's kind of famous for being like a bit of a Christian fanatic.
Right.
Not the world's biggest fan of pagans.
Ah, sigh. Another one.
Another one, exactly.
The country's full of them.
Keep letting them in.
That's right.
There's one born every minute.
So, but that is you recognise them and you have heard the name. You also know that both of them come from the north. So like many reasonably well-off nobles, they have manor houses and things scattered all across a whole bunch of different kingdoms. Like, they're not just located in one place, which always creates lots of confusion about who is your actual lord and who you're actually serving in fealty, all of those sorts of questions. But yes, so you do recognise the name.
But now I do recall, is he not very well renowned with the sword?
He is indeed, my good Linnell, my good Dame Linnell. Indeed, he and his brother are famed warriors, and it is for that purpose that I need you to travel to Balin and Balin and convince them to join Arthur's side. This is a important diplomatic mission. Which is why I am calling upon all of you to go forth.
Very good, my lord. We will, of course, carry out this
Will we
mission.
be traveling alone amongst ourselves, or will we be taking a retinue with us?
Well, I mean,
True.
it'll just be you, he says. Of course, when he says it'll just be you, just to be clear, it'll be you, your squires, you know.
The cook.
You know, some peasants, some servants. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not traveling alone.
No, I know. No.
But, I mean, in the context of where you are and the hierarchy, it's like, yes, it'll just be you.
Okay. We're not taking any additional forces up with us to convince
No.
people.
Arthur's gathering his forces here in the south. We need
Oh,
you
okay.
to go north to go.
Bring them.
He then unfurls. He then grabs the map out, which is a beautifully rendered map of England, and I will just go there now. So you
Of
have
Brittany. Of Britain.
of Britain. That's right. Of Logres, even.
Yes.
So you are down here at Sarum.
Yeah.
He is up here at Kinnerton.
Okay.
So the fastest and safest way to travel is to travel along from Sarum to Silchester.
Yeah.
Along the Roman road. Then go past the White Horse on your way to Cirencester,
Lovely.
which is also a Roman road. And then finally take the major Roman road. No one built roads like the Romans. North to Kinnerton. And he basically draws that out for you. these are the places I need you to go, in effect.
Yep.
Now, an important point to make at he makes a important point at this moment, and I'm just gonna see now that actually that has worked. I should be able to get the module up. Crap, but I just have to find it. Oh, actually, don't modify it or give it to me. Combat sheet. Oh, don't tell me it's gone. Oh, no, don't you dare. Okay. No. I don't think I can face what I think I'm facing. Damn. Okay. Okay. Sorry, just give me 1 second, guys. I just need to quickly see whether that is literally days of work. Let's see if this works. Okay, that's outstanding. Unless it's this one. No, that's not it. Ah, crap and hell. Oh no, there it is. Ah, thank God. No. I think all of the work I did on writing the module is not there.
No.
I think it's missing. I think it's gone away.
That's not.
No.
All right. Anyway, let's not worry about that. That's a problem for another 24 hours. Okay. So you will be traveling north along the road. I need you to do so and to travel at speed. Obviously, time is of the essence. I am giving you 10 Librum worth of gifts, effectively, which is so that you might impress upon people as you travel, particularly the Lord of Silchester, Sir Ulfunus, and the Lord of Somerset, not Clarence, the Duke of Clarence, the Duke of Silchester, and the Duke of Clarence. That's right. But also, I need you to give, gifts to Balin and Balin when you get there. Nothing is more important, and he actually says these words, nothing is more important than gathering Balin and Balin to our cause.
My lord, I must ask, do you fear that perhaps there might be some treacherous Picts who could be whispering in their ears?
I fear that this is likely to be true. And indeed, I am very happy to say that for some reason the Word document is now opened and it is there. So that's awesome.
Yay!
Hey, uh, yes, indeed. And particularly the servants of Kings Rience and Lot, who are amongst the leaders of these northern kings who would so seek to undo our Lord. So yes, I say to you, good knights, it is most important. My expectation is it will take you nigh on 2 weeks to get to Kinnerton from here, for there are many days of travel along these roads for you to traverse.
So, what kind of gift would be best for Balin and the other one? Some sort of Christian trinket thing that they can be proud of? Some shiny cross or something?
He looks at you for a second in horror, and then goes, "But of course, you are the most senior of the knights before me. So it is a good question that you ask, Gwynhild, since you will be leading the mission."
Okay. So,
Yes, perhaps some trinket. No, perhaps you do not. And if I may suggest, Dame Gwynhild, perhaps speak to your fellow knights who may have some advice, as they are closer to the faith of Sir Balin and Balin than yourself.
fellow Christian knights, what do you think? I am pretty blunt on things.
Mm. You love a blunt character. It's so wild that it's come back to that.
I
I can tell you what, you're not fair spoken.
No, but I've got loudmouth as a trait.
Mm.
Well, what do you volunteer, good Christian knights? I mean, what thoughts do you have?
I feel that a beautiful worked triptych
Mm.
that they might put up when they go to pray would be greatly appreciated by the faithful knights Sir Balin and Balin.
Oh, Dame Linnell, you speak truth, and despite your disadvantage as an Irish person, to be clear, this isn't about gender.
Slower.
This is about race.
This is about race, 1,000,000%. I like where you have taken this suggestion. I feel
Isn't it Welsh?
no, you're definitively Irish.
Oh, okay.
But did you say you're from Estragales?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the bit of Wales the Irish have conquered.
Right. Okay. That makes sense now.
So if you have a look at the map, you can see right on the far end of Wales is Estragales.
Yeah.
That is conquered by the Irish at the moment.
Okay.
So it's an
So
Irish kingdom
immigrant.
in Wales.
Yeah.
Not that I'm judging, but just saying. But yes, no, this is an excellent idea. Perhaps a triptych of Christ's progression. Christ, is born, Christ on the cross, Christ resurrected.
Beautiful. I'm sure they would find that very uplifting.
Yes. He looks at the monk who's been quietly writing what's going on. Brother Albert, I believe we have a need. Go and find us a triptych just now. Brother Albert's
It's the equivalent of a squire for this man.
Yeah, that's right. We need a triptych, as I've described it. Albert's like, yes, my lord, of course. We've got one of those just lying around. I'll just go dig one up for you. Nothing would bring me greater joy. Excellent. All right. Look, I like the suggestion of this gift. This is a good gift that you have suggested, Dame Linnell, and it is noted. Dame Linnell, you may. And this is a Pendragoning. So let me just open up your sheet. What would it be? I think. Oh yeah, that actually tracks. Please make a courtesy roll for me,
Okay.
which you're actually quite good at.
Yeah.
Not quite good enough though.
No.
And there's no pushing mechanism.
Yeah.
There is not. There is just rolling.
Success and failure.
All right.
I had a rough upbringing. I mean, it was good, and then it was bad.
Then it was so close. Okay, so if it does suit you all, I will. So Brother Albert will provision the necessary gift, and I trust that the rest of you will prepare yourselves for the long ride ahead of you. But now I believe we are done, unless there are any final questions from any of you about your mission.
Begging your pardon, Lord, but do you expect any problems for us on the way, so to speak? Are there any locations where you're expecting some trouble for us? You mentioned some funds for the Lord of Silchester. Is that anything that we should know there, or is that just a par for the course?
You will be seeing Duke Ulfius, Duke Ulfius, who was a vassal of Uther and is quite old now, but whose loyalty to Arthur is deep for his love of Arthur's family, and you will also meet Galingantus, that's it, Galigantus, Duke of Clarence, who is a more recent adherent to Arthur's cause. I must tell you, my good knights, that unfortunately, for reasons of ancient history and raids, Galigantus and Ulfus are not friends. And so, on the fields of battle, when they serve Arthur, much effort is spent in ensuring that they are on the opposite wings of the army.
Right. They are not friends with each other. Okay. Okay.
But their loyalty to Arthur is unquestioned.
Of course.
Naturally.
Of course. So maybe should we be less forthcoming in the nature of our quest, or
No. I mean,
their loyalty is okay.
They're both sworn to Arthur. What I need you to do is not. You must be careful in your communication with both of them, for they are important allies of Arthur and should be treated as such.
Of course, with all due respect, of course, your lordship. So, of course, you can trust us with that, and your little painting over there.
Yes.
In 3 parts.
All right. Excellent. Do you have any other questions?
No. Oh, you go.
No, sorry. No, I was just going to ask about. No, that's fine.
Now, just broadly about being a knight and demanding lodgings along the way. I assume we are able to do that.
You are, yeah, you know that, yeah. So you can, you are quite within your rights to sort of rock up pretty much anywhere and say, "Oi,
Yeah.
give us a bed."
Mm.
You can do that at monasteries, in common hovels. You can do that in. Obviously, it's a bit more tricky if you're going to a place where Arthur is not recognised as the High King.
Yeah.
But no, the laws of hospitality obligate certainly any nobles to offer you food and lodging,
Jeez.
and
Yep.
the abbeys will do it as well.
Okay.
So Kay, all I know of Sir Balin is of his prowess with the sword. But do you know, is there anything that would make him or his brother hesitate to join Arthur's cause?
Was that at me? Sorry, I've
Yeah,
gone very
sorry.
quiet.
What
Um,
was
the
what
concern
is
that I
the
have is, of course, that the Savage clan are actually, their family comes from all the way up here in Nahot, right at the top. So there's that. But no, I am sure that knights of such worth and grace would be readily convinced to serve in Arthur's armies and to protect our great king.
Of course.
So
All right.
travel
Indeed.
forth, my good knights, and
Excellent.
seek, much wisdom.
For the glory of God and the glory of our God's King.
Indeed, he says, in complete agreement. Travel forth, my good knights.
And we begin. Dun, 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 dun.
That's it.
We're gonna have like getting ready montage, and then there's
That's
Magical
right.
night transformation.
And there's a wavy line.
I love it.
Who was playing Sarah MacGyver in this? The what do you call them? Oh shit, Michael, use your words. The squires,
Yeah,
Maguire.
the squires. Yeah.
The MacGyvers, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
The
They're
squires.
like, we're like in our heads as like, as knights, we're like in our heads just like, shing, oh, randomly something's attached to me now. Now I've got my breastplate on. Now I've got my sword at my side. And it's just literally like from the squire's perspective, just like seeing us just put our hands out and just stare off into the distance and they're just doing it all for us. It takes like 10 minutes, but for us, we're like, it was so quick because we're powerful.
That's
Like,
right. Have you guys ever seen the YouTube video that did the rounds a couple of years ago of the magical coffee table?
yes,
I'm just
yes.
saying.
no.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
So the magical coffee table, Jay, which I advise you look up on YouTube because it's fucking hilarious,
Mhm,
is
Yes.
this guy calls the police to his house.
mhm.
And he's standing there. By the way, his partner, his girlfriend, one in furs, it's not clear, but that's the assumption, is standing nearby. He points at the coffee table. He's called the police in, points at the coffee table. This is a magical coffee table. And the police are going, what do you mean? He goes, well, I put stuff on the coffee table and it just disappears. So whatever I put on the coffee table disappears.
Oh my God.
And there's it's important to note there's a female police officer and a male police officer, because the female police officer is like exactly what you just did. Oh my god, and goes and stands with the woman, who are both in horror. But the male police officer, which is particularly funny, goes, "Yeah, I've got one too."
Oh, I wait for humanity. My God.
It's so funny. It's such a funny skit. It's so hilariously done. I think it's from College Humor, but it is genuinely laugh out loud funny. It's right up there with Seven Red Lines for Consultants, which is the ultimate expression of consulting. If you're ever bored Watch Seven Red Lines. Look it up. It's fucking awesome. Of course I can do it. I'm an expert, being my favourite fucking line of all time. Uh, so good. See, Rob knows what I'm talking about. He's watched Seven Red Lines.
Absolutely.
It's so good. Any person who's an expert at anything should watch Seven Red Lines and go, I weep for humanity, to quote you, Jay. I weep. And also any YouTube video that involves invisible red bunnies is worth talking about. Kittens. Sorry, invisible red kittens. Could you draw that as a kitten?
Right.
Anyway. Alright, so you get on your horses. You have squires who build things, put castles up on weekends, that sort of thing. Possibly in a la Camelot scene, have, rendered Camelot imagery in the corner of your eye. And you ride north to Salisbury. Through Salisbury. Yes, exactly.
Arnold gets the horses ready.
So you get your coconuts and you go north. It's often pointed out that coconuts are banned in most Pendragon games for obvious reasons. So you travel from Sarum through Levcomagus and find yourself at Silchester. Now, Silchester is an old Roman city. This means it has walls and fortifications and looks kind of vaguely like a city. However, it is also... So, Arthur is just newly minted as the High King. England, prior to Arthur's rise as king, has been effectively in civil war for almost 40 years, if you include Uther's reign. Because Uther wasn't actually a particularly great king. Nothing personal, Uther, just to limit it like I said. So, the population of Silchester has shrunk since its heyday as a centre of commerce and power for the Romans. As you approach Silchester, you see there are walls, there are old buildings, there is a castle in the middle of the city. There is also what looks like the spire of a cathedral. However, the walls themselves have many holes in them, and you can see that people have pulled the stones out of the wall and gone off and done stuff with the stones. The road is broadly still cobbled. This is pretty soon after the Romans have buggered off. So you are actually on a cobbled road. It hasn't yet had all of its stones stolen to make, fences between farmers' lands. The city reeks of people, though, for all of that. So most of you spend most of your time not in cities, with the exception of Dame Quinheld, who actually comes from London, if I remember correctly. Londinium at this point.
Londinium.
Londinium at this point.
Never get used to that smell, though.
No. So, as you approach Silchester, you can see there are gates, there are people standing at the gates, like traders and other people, but equally you can just see people wandering through the walls. Although they look more like locals than visitors. But there are fields around Silchester proper that are still being tilled, but you can also see there is in the distance, forests and other things. All right, what do you want to do, folk?
Make way, coming through.
Right, so
Rabble.
just knighting it, as it were. So you really haven't adopted Arthur's, we must protect the weak and the innocent, component. Or it's just,
They're an essential part of Arthur's plan. I still have to be nice to them all.
That is very true.
Get out of the way when Dame Quinheld comes through.
Oh my god, obsessed with her already. Wow.
All right, so you lead your group of knights and various hangers-on through the people, and there's bellowing oxen being pulled out of the way and all of that sort of thing. There's peasants scarpering.
Excellent.
out of the way. There's a couple
Just
of
keep a
very small
steady
children
pace.
looking
They
at you,
they can
pointing.
adjust.
They can adjust. They can move out of the way.
Exactly.
You reach the gates, and there are a pair of not nobles and certainly not knights, but armed men, perhaps sergeant at arms. So militia or soldiers proper, but certainly not knights. Halt! Who goes there? They say with a loud and booming voice.
You can see who we are. We are knights of Arthur.
Right. That.
Please stand aside.
Uh. Uh.
I swiftly in one slick motion get off my horse
Okay.
and take off my helm, and the hair is just flowing. I
Of
imagine
Is that a
course.
wind machine?
absolutely it just randomly materializes and I say, "Good men, fierce, loyal men. I'm, of course, Sir Clarion, and us and our retinue are here on a very important and dire critical mission for our Lord and King, Arthur. We must, of course, make haste to the castle to ensure that the king's dues and his very many and various and many affairs are sought to. You, of course, can see us, see our pallor, see our righteousness. Would you stand in the way of such glory for our
Uh,
king?"
no, my lord, we would not. And both of them are eyeing off the fucking humongous axe that Dame Goodell carries.
Just slowly fingering.
Absolutely.
So
I'm oblivious to that,
it's a
PS.
double-headed sort of giant rubby
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, no, my lord, no, we would not. We would, of course, seek to serve our great lord and master, King Arthur, who is, of course, the son of the rightful High King, God bless him, King Uther, Ulfinus's great lord and man who stood on the fields of St. Albans when those perfidious Saxons,
I give a look.
they go out of their way to say perfidious, which is not an easy word to say at speed. Perfidious Saxons who did indeed betray him. I would just remind you of that, my lord. We'll have no truck with Saxons who have betrayed Arthur or Uther, for that matter. Looks around. Yes. Anyway.
Indeed. Well, we have no nefarious sorts of that nature within our retinue, I can assure you. And of course, we are only here for the glory and unity that Arthur provides. Peace in Britain once more. Yeah, I'm doing this because of what you
the
just said.
neo-fascism of Sir Clarion.
Absolutely.
Through.
This is what happens when I'm lawful.
Yeah, that's good. I'm hearing it.
By the way.
Yeah, that's creepy. All right, so and considering how creepy your last character is, that's pretty creepy. Yeah. Just saying. So, two sides of the same coin. Is that where we're going here? I think
Hey,
so.
absolutely.
But I also would just like to specifically call out Sir Vrain's comment about Sir Fabio.
100% giving that lustrous Pantene hair. Absolutely.
All right. So on that note, they both step out of the way. If you wish, oh, beg my pardon. If you wish to,
Are you quite well?
it's been, yeah, I'm fine. Just a bit cold. It's not the pox. He says to the other guy. It's not the pox.
I take roughly 2 steps back.
Yeah, very well. Yeah. It is the Dark Ages.
Yes.
Yes. Look, travel through good nights, one and all, and we would just say there is a fine inn if you are seeking lodgings for the night that you may make use of, or indeed you may choose to stay with Sir Ulfinus himself. Just noting that he is not famed for his great love of Saxons. transactions. So you ride into the city. It is full of people. Well, not really, but it kind of feels full of people to you people. Once again, noting Londinium is far more populated than this bare hick town in the corner of nowhere.
I do feel that we need to build relations with this man.
Yeah.
We
Indeed.
should call
Now,
upon his
now you
lodgings.
feel that? Now? I thought you meant the guardsman. Yeah, right.
No.
That ship
No.
has sailed.
No, Sir Ulfinus, right? You're talking about?
Yeah, Duke
Absolutely.
Ulfinus.
Duke, sorry.
Duke.
Duke.
Dux Bellorum,
Mm.
warlord and war leader. All right, so you can ride straight through the center of town up to the castle in the middle because you know where he's going to be. It's not as hard to find.
Excellent.
All
It's
right.
important that we get to know our
stay.
neighbours.
Yeah, I think we're going to stay with the Duke.
Okay, so as you ride towards the castle, what you realize is they've actually cleared a part of the city and built what is effectively a moat and bailey castle in the middle of it. So the walls of the city itself are punctured through. Someone's taken stone, tried to build a bit of a stone redoubt. There's also wooden palisade walls type things. There's a small, but not filled with water, just a ditch. There's a ditch surrounding it, and there does appear to be a wooden building which passes for a castle in these here realms. So it's actually not as nice to look at as many of the buildings that fill Silchester. But Silchester did not have a castle in the middle of it, and Sir Ulfinus obviously feels that you can't trust a Saxon, so he built a castle of his very own to hide in. To sally forth from, should he be attacked. You ride up to the castle walls, and there are more soldiers who will quite happily let you through very quickly. They don't particularly get in your way. You say you're from Arthur, and they go, "Yep, good enough for us. None of our business," and throw you through. However, news of your arrival has arrived ahead of your arrival. Waiting at the stairs at the entrance to the castle is a large, much older man. He's probably 50, which makes him quite old in this here time. He's wearing heavy furs. He's big. He's sort of robust looking. He's got very nice gear on, which does suggest a degree of wealth. None of you have actually met Sir Ulfinus, but it doesn't take you much to go, that's probably him. And he's got a woman with him and a number of adult children. The woman is also of Ulfinus's age. And he sees you coming forth, looks you all in the eyes. Looks you in the eyes, Dame Gwynilde, with a particularly piercing stare. "Ah! Knights of Arthur, I believe," he says at the top of his voice, in a very loud and booming sound. Brian bless it.
Yes.
Greetings, good knights.
Greetings. What a stalwart fortification you've created here.
Yes, we were forced to build it. After the massacre, the poisoning at St. Albans, where, we were betrayed by the Saxon chieftains.
Yes.
Now, this is quite a big... By the way, he's referring to an actual event. So Uther's nobles gathered together to make peace with Saxon chieftains. The Saxon chieftains led them to St. Albans and then poisoned them in the meal. And so many of them died. And it is a very important and critical event in sort of at the end of Uther's reign. By this point, he'd already broken his kingdom by not being able to resist the temptation of Igraine. Right. Yes, it is I. Tell, good knights, what brings you to my fair city, and indeed my county, if I may ask?
We have been given a task by the king, the greater king, Arthur, and we seek lodgings from you as expected.
Indeed. Well, it is, of course, my honour and my duty to give you this accommodation. Please do feel free. We shall have a feast in your name. As you are visitors, I shall get the cooks working immediately so that we might have a feast.
You are very generous. Your hospitality shall be well known, if it is
Ah,
already.
thank you. All right. There is a moment of silence, and then you are ushered into the building. Your horses, of course, are taken care of by your squires.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Take care of the horses.
that's right. Deal with it for me. Now, you have accommodation. We snap forward in time to the feast. You are sitting just below the high table. Dame Gwynilde is at the table as the leader of your party and most famed of all of you. The rest of you are at the table directly below the high table, so right next to it.
Mhm.
Ulfinus has parked you, Gwynhild, though, towards one end of the table, which is a little bit of a slide, like it's a little bit of a slap. It's not much of a slap, but it's normally as the sort of envoy of Arthur,
I guess.
you'd be sort of in the middle. Um, Up to you whether you want to do anything about that, but that's happening.
Not well, actually, I am going to do something about that and rearrange things. I'm somewhat proud of my achievements and the achievements of my family um and my current role of protecting Londinium and all those things. So I will basically just relocate
Just park yourself in the middle.
a bit closer.
A
Yeah.
bit closer. Okay, can I get a... I don't... So that sounds pretty good. Can I get a pride check from you, please?
Indeed. Proud. Oh, no.
God.
They're just not opening up gaps there.
They are not.
Nobody, I've looked at people, they're not getting up out of their seats so I can ambush their seats.
No, that's right. You're sort of standing there quite awkwardly at this point
Yeah.
because you've sort of moved up, but no one's making room. Um, you could, of course, seek to inspire against your, if you can think of a passion that you could deploy.
Well, this is probably a matter of honor.
Yep.
There's
Mm.
absolutely a slight upon the honor. So
Okay.
I will inspire against honor.
Okay. Make a roll for me, please.
I can. Is it going to let me? What do I have to do? Hang on. Left click for a normal. Oppose roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not opposed. So just make a left click. Just click on it. It should fire.
Yeah, no, I've done a left click and it's not doing anything.
Oh.
Oh, try Homage Lord. No, that's not doing anything either. Who's roll control shift? Let's see, shift key. No.
Whereas that comes up. Okay, that's interesting. So maybe there's a glitch on the sheet.
Love family. Let's try that. They're all 15, so no, none of them are working.
You have to toggle.
Yeah, they're not clicking for me either. If I was just
Yeah.
trying it too.
Did you get it to work, Mike?
No, it toggles it on, but have you tried it when you no,
I
nothing.
can even toggle it on or off, but yeah, it's not rolling anything.
Well, just roll a d20.
Yep.
And what is your honor?
My honor is 15.
Okay. You succeeded. Woo!
By a long way away.
Okay, so you can.
I do not believe you addressed my status correctly.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Actually,
Actually, I will approach the seneschal first
Oh,
and
okay.
converse it
Wow.
with them. There are formalities, you know. We do not want to completely shame the Lord.
Correct. Okay. Wow. So that's actually going to be a courtesy skill roll.
Oh my God.
But you got +5.
That's true. All right. So I simply just add 5 as the bonus to the roll.
Should be, yeah. Shouldn't be plus. Oh yeah. Add 5. Yep. Just
Okay.
see how that goes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, you've got courtesy 9.
Vaguely good.
So you're not terrible. All right. All right. So you go up to the
I
seneschal.
believe there's a mistake has been made. You obviously don't know my status as a protectorate of Londinium and the White Tower. As a knight of Arthur. As a fervent follower of King Uther, my family has pledged.
Okay. Indeed, my good dame. I'm sorry for the embarrassment, and let me sort that out for you, sir. Now, can I? I'm going to give you a tick to a trait, but it's going to be prudent.
Okay. Because I went through the normal courses of a
Because
seneschal.
you went out of your way to not cause a ruckus.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, you were prudent in your actions. You were careful. You didn't push it. All right. So while that's going on, the other 3 of you. So, Sir of Rain. This is a target-rich environment.
Yes, well, I mean, I suppose the first thing that he's looking for is to notice whether, obviously, he's keeping an eye on some of the serving girls, but he's definitely looking to see whether the Duke has a pretty daughter, or even the wife has a handmaid, or he's actually probably keeping an eye on the wife as well. To be honest, to be sure.
Okay. Look, make a. Oh my God, what skill? What talent? What skill?
I do have flirting as a skill.
You do.
I do.
Then flirt away. Good night.
Your husband did.
Oh! Critical fumble. Okay, so you are indeed keeping your eye on many a fine woman. As the night progresses, you make yourself, friendly to a number of these fine women. You're having a lovely chat with a very beautiful young woman who is very interested in you, and you think this is very interesting in general, when you feel a large hand close over your shoulder. You look up and behind you, and there is a clearly a knight, a reasonably big one, looking at you with glaring eyes, kind of eyebrows lowered. Yeah. Who are you?
Well, considering you've got your big maw on me, I feel like you must have some ownership of me. Can I be of assistance to you, my man?
Yeah. That's my lady you're talking to.
Oh, is it now? She'd failed to mention that not even once in our conversation. But no need to be afeared, my friend. I'm just having just a gentle conversation. I'm passing through, you see, on business of King Arthur, if you must know, and just here helping to spread a little bit of light.
There's Well, what was that? No. Did you, my lady? Have you not, talked of our great romance to this night? And she looks at you. She looks at him. She looks at you. She looks at him, and she goes, "I have mentioned it several times, my good knight."
Oh, I'm begging your pardon, my dear. I thought you were talking metaphorically about a bear that you knew. I see that. I see instead that you do actually mean a bear. Well, I mean, my friend, the harm, if any, was done was not intentional. But again, I do mention that I am on very important business from the High King himself, and were any mishaps to befall me, particularly in the presence of the hospitality of the Duke himself, I'm not sure the High King would be too impressed with that. What do you think about that?
Okay. So just to test it out as well, so you can choose to roll a passion skill if you can think a passion if you want, but you're going to be making a rate skill roll.
Rate? Oh yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fine. I'm thinking it could be when it says hospitality. Is that hospitality?
So that's really bound to the laws of hospitality.
Okay.
So if
What
you
about
think they're being
station?
broken, or station is your status in comparison. So is your status being besmirched?
So whilst Evrain is a mercenary knight, up
He
until
is.
just over a year ago, he was a household knight, and maybe sometimes he still has some problems or some issues reminding himself of that. So
Yes, I think that's very likely.
does that work?
Yeah, and he's pretty proud.
He's quite proud.
As a good pagan knight should be.
Absolutely. So, what do I do? Just roll under station?
Sure.
Let's see if it works. No, it doesn't look like it's. Hang on, was it a double click? No, just no. Okay, so I just roll a d20 then.
Yep. What is your station? 15, I assume.
15. Yep.
Yep.
Hang on,
that goes with your ex-household knightness.
Yes.
Critical success! What?
The 2 rolls, a critical fumble and a critical success.
Look, it's the balance. All right, so that gives you a +10 to your rate, not a +5.
Okay.
So you may add 10. So when you click on your rate skill, add just the bonus to dice is 10.
Okay.
Which is a success. Because with your rate at 20, you couldn't fail.
Yes.
All right, so he's quite insulted, particularly when you started calling him a bear.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I figured. He looks at you and goes, "Good night. I understand that you are on a mission for our good High King Arthur. May he reign forever and may God continue to bless upon his presence. However, when you have done your mission and you are returned, I will seek satisfaction, sir, on the tourney field."
Well, let's. I suggest that when I return, there'll be more than just you seeking satisfaction, sir. And I do look at his wife at that point. So to my safe return.
All right. Okay, so he then goes, right, and strides up to the high table, and at the top of his voice does yell out to all and sundry. He sort of walks up the high table, looks, my Duke Ulfinus, I ask that you bear witness to this promise of recompense and revengey.
Revenge.
My lord, this knight, this servant of Arthur, has befouled my good lady's name, and upon his return from his duties on behalf of Arthur, I have challenged him to a duel on the tourney field, and I ask Duke Ulfinus that you witness this and commit this, and then he looks at you, Dame Gwynild, and I ask that you also, Dame Gwynild, who I understand is the leader of this group of knights, do witness this promise, and will do all that you may to ensure that Sir Vrain doth enter the field on the day that is most appropriate for us to settle this disagreement.
I'm sure he won't need my urgings to attend. He seems to be very intent himself, and I look forward to seeing the results of this duel, as you put it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Sir Duke Ulfinus looks at you and goes, excellent, good answer. My good knight, I promise you, sir, that this dishonor will be avenged, and you will have your chance to make claim on Sir Vrain for his what's the right term? It's not actually saying dishonor.
Disrespect?
Disrespect, thank you, that'll do. His disrespect with his good lady. Excellent. All right, so that plays out in the corner. Now, Dame Linnell.
Yes.
What are you doing? You've got voice. You've got stuff going on.
I'm telling stories.
Telling stories. What sort of stories are you telling?
Folk tales.
Folk tales. Ooh.
To entertain those around me.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sharing some tales from my home country.
Excellent. You know, that foreign land, Estergals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Estergals. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've got people interested and listening. You may make I think it's orate roll or perform, maybe.
Well, I've actually got folklore, which I thought that might be.
Yep, sure. Folklore's a skill for pretty much everything that isn't knightly. So you can roll folklore to know what common folk do, and you can also roll folklore to know. No, it's broader than it used to be in the old rules.
The old knowledge local skill.
Yeah, that's it. But it also allows you to know about, things.
Yeah.
Like monsters and things, so to your point. All right, so you're telling a folklore. You're telling them actual folk tales.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like stories that they may not have heard.
Okay.
About the creatures in the hills where I grew up.
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. Success.
Aha! All right, you tell various stories. How much are you ensuring that the folk tales, are aligned to sort of the sorts of things that knights are interested in? Because there's a lot of folk tales that are actually sort of warnings to peasants about bad things that happen.
No, it would definitely be about a brave warrior going and fighting some hideous creature in the hills and protecting the village.
Okay, all right. So,
maybe a knight facing down the Dreg, right? If we're thinking about Welsh.
Yeah, Irish tales. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a. Let me just. 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 Let me just Um, hmm. um, you make you tell the stories and people listen. Um, as a general statement, unless you go out of your way to challenge anything, there's mostly just an agreement. So they will listen to the stories and you get recognised for telling good stories, and that is what happens.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, actually, sorry, just while I remember, Mike, because you criticaled your roll against, not you. Yeah, it was you. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
Station.
Yeah.
Because you criticaled Station, you can put a tick on Station.
Oh yeah, and sorry, who was the sorry, where's station? Oh yeah. It was not allowing me. Oh yeah, sorry, double. Who was the bear? Did I get the name?
I don't think you told her.
It's so tempting to make it a particular character, but that would be wrong and terrifying because they would tear you apart. So no, it will be uh, uh, Sir Brian.
Of Nazareth?
Yeah,
Of the blessed.
of the blessed. That's right, of the blessed. So no, it's Sir Brian. Sir Brian.
Okay, cool. Making friends.
That's right. Making friends and influencing people left, right, and center.
Well, speaking of that,
Yes.
so am I kind of near the head of the table or like kind of close enough to have a conversation with Duke Orpheus?
Yeah, you can certainly do that. Yes, I think that would work.
Yeah, I think that like I try and kind of, because we walked in, right? And I think that in Sir Clarion's mind, he comes from, like he's very, very proud of where he came from
Yeah.
in Logres or Logres.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's distantly related to the legendary Duke Vortimer, but I think that like the idea of, of being from somewhere where you're proud of and that ideal of like of family is really close to him and is like he kind of will often think about, the times in his youth and how close where he was from, like how close the people are to each other, particularly, how he grew up. And the fact that we walked in and we saw, this man literally with his family immediately were greeted by not just him, but also with his family there. I think that he would try to appeal to that because we have this whole idea of like keeping unity. And we were specifically told to keep these people who are Arthur's allies on side. So I think he would try and like and appeal to the value of family and kind of asking about, his wife and that their children, whether they're interested in kind of, going around to different places. If he has any young people who are interested in kind of traveling as knights, yeah, just kind of interested in learning more and sharing more about family.
Okay. Um, so he. So he's basically a bit of a what would be the right language? He's a bit of a dinosaur.
Mm,
So his loyalty to Arthur is almost explicitly tied to the fact that he was the one of the foremost sort of servants of Uther.
mm,
So for him, his loyalty to Arthur, his background, his family, his relationships are all posited on the basis of Arthur is or what is the son of Uther,
mm,
and for him, and so he's actually got quite old-fashioned standards about how you behave, and is
mm,
much more of a might makes right kind of guy
mm,
than sort of more modern adherence to Arthur. Um, so he's very direct in talking about Arthur's the right king because Arthur's Uther's son. He's
Mm.
not actually particularly. He doesn't give a toss about the sword thing, except that it proved that he was Uther's son.
Mm-hmm.
So his loyalty is very strongly of that favour. His family and his behaviours are very much in alignment with Uther's kind of rulership of England, which was a might makes right kind of model. Uther did a lot of things that were what Uther wanted to do. Ulfinus is pretty much the same kind of character at a lesser scale.
Mm.
So he happily talks to you about, sort of what matters to him is a strong and safe England with, all of these foreigners, particularly these foreign influences, kept out of England, and that Arthur will, as the king of the Britons, which is a particular turn of phrase that he uses a lot, will sort of solidify England under for Britons. It's a kind of Britons first kind of model. So that's the sort of information you get back.
Okay. I probably also ask him whether or not any particular alliances within, was that word you used again? Britain's?
Britons, yeah, the
Yeah, yeah.
Kimri, which you're a member, so you're
Yeah.
actually a member of that culture.
Perfect. I think I kind of ask him, within the Kimri,
Yeah.
whether or not he is eyeing any particular allegiances in terms of his children and other noble houses from within that area. Kind of
Uh,
like fishing in a way for like if he wanted us on our way to where we're going to put in a good word with perhaps someone's son along the way, that perhaps that could be done.
well, he does tell you that, um, of course, you've got Cirencester,
Hmm.
over here. That is under the rulership of Clarence, the Duke of Clarence Galangantus.
Hmm.
Now, uh, I mean, he's fine, he says, sort of vaguely anyway. He's fine, but one would not, but he's a Johnny come lately follower of Arthur. He doesn't come from the same background, certainly doesn't belong to the same history. So, you know, so he doesn't really need you to convince anyone to join his cause. He doesn't seem to think that's the point. So instead, what he does is tell you all about how you can't trust the Duke of Clarence.
And let me tell you, his breath stinks, and he's been drinking far too much, and he gets like completely, like I can tell that this man likes some fine wine, and it's kind of the feeling that you get when you're trapped by a drunk uncle, like
It
at a
is kind of that
party,
feeling. Yep,
and they're
that's the
just
one.
talking about their
Yeah,
special interest,
yeah,
and you kind of have to just sit there and feign interest.
correct.
So I do that dutifully because that's what a knight does.
Okay.
Um,
So you may also make a courtesy roll for me, please,
great, I'll do that.
and you may choose to inspire if you would like to.
Yes, could I inspire against uh could I inspire against either family or hospitality?
Hospitality, definitely.
Great, excellent.
Yep,
So
yep.
this increases to a 21 then.
If you make the hospitality roll.
Critical.
It was
Oh,
a critical,
on the
so
courtesy
like
skill. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So the
So does
way,
that
yeah.
does
Sorry.
that
Go.
does that mean that because I inspired it, it's no longer a critical?
It would, but you don't just inspire. You have to roll against the passion.
Oh, okay. Right.
So
So
that's
let
fine.
me.
So you didn't do that. So you're critical. So let's just leave it at that.
Oh, cool. Perfect. All right.
All right. So you can
Sweet.
get a tick against your courtesy. First point.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Second of all, he loves you.
Amazing.
You have the drunk uncle issue now, which is he thinks you and he have a special connection. So
Making
he's going
Britain
to
great.
spend all night talking to you.
It's the Fabio effect.
It
Yeah,
really is.
yeah. As a matter of fact, he invites you up to the high table.
I dutifully take my seat at the right
Right.
hand of the powerful.
And does talk to you quite a bit about how amazing you are and how he's got real hope for Britons and for England and Arthur with knights like you, good British knights.
Mm.
Helping Arthur. He's sure that the kingdom is in safe hands, and that his wife and children will be protected. Both from foreigners and pagans,
Mm.
which he throws in. You haven't heard him talk about
See,
pagans.
I can see him moving everyone down, including the dame, moving
Yeah.
them down to
Yeah,
make a seat.
exactly. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep, yep. Pushes the seats down. Let my good friend Sir
Mhm.
Clarion come up and have a chat and all of that sort of thing. And it's like Sir Clarion's a great guy. Like, let's let him get in. Let's have that chat. Um,
I think that honestly, I think I've got a little bit of merciful here. I'm 13 on
you
merciful.
are, you are.
But I'm neither prudent nor reckless, so I'm stuck in an indecision around whether or not I extricate myself or stay, and so I invariably stay.
You do.
Um,
And the night passes. The next morning, you all awaken, refreshed, and ready to roll on in your travels to Donington on its way, or Wandborough, on the way past the White Horse Hills and in towards and through the camp. God, I cannot pronounce that. It's just too long. Camp Acritin Forest, between Wandborough and Cirencester. By the way, the Camperton Forest is quite famous for being full of bandits and ne'er-do-wells. But you're not worried because you're 5 knights. What have you got to worry about? Bandits are nothing to you. They are but a the slight
Private
bump as your
practice.
horse rolls forward. Um, okay, now I'm gonna stop it there because the next bit is quite lengthy. So, but that is Pendragon. That's Pendragon without the fighting. You haven't hit the fighting bit yet, but you'll sort that out soon. I promise you. Um, and get to fight and find out quite how deadly Pendragon can be. Although as knights, unless you're fighting other knights, it's all a little bit sort of, you know.
As if that's going to happen.
That's right, as if that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
there's no turmoil. We serve the once and future king.
Correct.
Um, who would dare who would dare pick up arms against us? Um,
Not me. I'm
abs
all good.
absolutely not.